Cygni All Guns Blazing, the latest release from Konami, PS5, Xbox Series, Steam, shooter, Konami, 2024. Let's review this damn thing.
Oh, wow. So we just did a video talking about how Konami is back. They're releasing amazing games, and this is one of the games that they released. This game is amazing. It was developed by Keelworks, which is a VFX animation company from Scotland, and this is their debut video game.
Yeah.
They've never made a video game before, but they made this game. It was published by Konami, and for being your first video game ever, and then with Konami backing you, oh my, they did a fantastic job. This game is incredible. It's a 1 to 2 player couch co-op shmup that is just beautiful, gorgeous. The music's really fun. This game is so cool, and what's really nice is it's not full priced either. This game is, I think, $30 at least for the PS5 version.
Yep.
So that's really nice. A modern video game, $30. I know it's not like a 200-hour, epic story, but still, I think $30, this game is totally worth it.
I think it's totally worth it. I would say one thing is it's really good for their first effort, and I really enjoy the game, and I think the game is a ton of fun. That is not to say this game is perfect. It is far from perfect, and I hope that they learn from this kind of first outing.
Yes.
Because the one knock that I have for this game, and we've got 6-7 hours in, we've beat the game, is the learning curve of learning all the mechanics. They don't do a good job with the tutorial of setting the player up to play.
There is a tutorial, and you can do it, and it is kind of cool because it's like old school. It kind of feels like you're learning how to fly a ship a little bit. But they teach you the basic controls and how to play, but they don't teach you like how to upgrade your ship or what some of the stuff does or all this stuff that you kind of have to learn as you go. And it took us like hours to figure that out. And once we figured that out, then we're like, oh, we're better at this. We figured out how to do it. So that is like the only rough part about this game, but I kind of like games where you learn as you go.
Yeah, for sure. And it for me, having played a ton of shooters, I did really enjoy this game. There are some things missing from this game, from traditional shooters, that I do kind of miss. Like the bullet, the guns you have are pretty stagnant throughout the game.
Yes.
What you can impact is the spread of the guns you have, but there's not power-ups as you're going through the levels. But once you kind of learn the upgrade system, it didn't take away from it for me, but I did kind of wish that there was kind of some more meat on the bone.
Yeah, I wish there was more gun options. Like, I'm a big fan of Gradius, and obviously that's a Konami game, and Gradius does a great job of like, okay, here's your ship, and you have all these different things you can upgrade, and then it's like, oh, you want this shot? Okay, let's focus on this. Or like the later Gradius is where you pick your loadout, and then those are the types of guns. No, this is like, you have your main shot that you can control, and then you have like your side shot with honing missiles, and then you have X with is just missiles.
Yep.
So it's like, that's it. That's all you have, which the game is still fun, and you can still get through it with just those things, but I wish there was a little bit more meat on the bones in that aspect.
Yep.
But it's still really fun. It's still really cool. This game does come with a couple different game modes. So there's story mode, and then there's arcade mode.
Yep.
And the only way to unlock arcade mode is by beating the story. But you can beat it on any difficulty. So you can just play through it on easy and unlock the arcade mode. And there's 3 difficulties. There's easy, medium, and hard. I will say, hard is hard.
I would recommend to get your feet wet with this game, and I don't say this about many games. I would bump it down to easy so that you can kind of learn what this game is trying to do.
Learn the mechanics.
If you just jump in, because I think the tutorial is pretty weak on normal, I don't know how much fun you're going to have, but you can kind of get your wits about you, if you will, on easy. I also do think it is a little bit of a drawback that you have to beat the story mode of the game to play the arcade mode, because in my opinion, I understood the upgrade system a lot better after playing the arcade mode, because you get like 9 upgrades per run on the arcade mode, and in the story mode, you can only upgrade stuff based off the shield points that you earn in said levels.
So this took us hours to figure out because this wasn't in the tutorial. So you get these shield points, which is how you upgrade your ship in story mode. Arcade mode's way different. So you get these shield points, and the only way to get shield points is if you have full health and then pick up more of these things that drop, and then that's how you get shield points. And then things cost money using those shield points. But if you don't have full health and full shield, and you pick those up, then you don't get points.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit confusing. So if you're mining for shield points and you want to upgrade your ship, like you said,
don't get hit.
But like maybe play a few levels on easy.
Yep.
The main story mode is only 7 missions. So it's kind of short, and each mission is about 10 to 15 minutes. So we did beat this game in one night. It was really fun. I will say the first time we played it, the first level kicked our ass a few times.
I think it's the hardest level in the game.
It's the hardest level. So what's weird about this game is usually shooters progressively get harder. This game I feel like is kind of stagnant in the difficulty, and I do think the first level is the hardest level, which is weird to say. There are certain areas that are way harder in other levels, but once you figure out the mechanics, the game doesn't get any harder.
Yeah.
It just stays the same, which is kind of cool, but I do like shmups that like, oh, we're level 7.
Yeah.
This is going to be tough.
Yeah,
you know?
it is, but I mean, the game is hard, and the boss fights are awesome.
Yeah, very cool boss fights.
And I do love this mechanic, so I think you have to turn it on in the settings, like your life meter, like HUD or HUD, but you have life and then you have missiles.
Yes.
And with RB and LB or R1 and L1, you can move your life to missiles or your missiles to life.
Yes.
Everything that you grab goes to your life. So you're constantly moving life over, but it's a really cool mechanic and I really like it. And so if you're trying to mine for shield points, try not using your bombs a ton and try not getting hit. Because if you're constantly firing bombs and replenishing the bombs with...
Then you won't have full health.
Yes.
And you won't get shield points.
Yep.
It kind of goes back to, I wish there was more guns and stuff, but the only thing that enemies drop are shield points / life.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing you pick up. There's no other thing that is dropped. So it's a little bit plain and vanilla there. But there's a lot going on in this game.
Yeah.
So if there was more to be dropped, it might be too confusing.
Visually, it is chaotic. I would say it's going to take you at least an hour to get your eyes and your brain wrapped around all the shit that's going on the screen.
So we played it on PS5. So R2 is your main shot, and that's how you shoot forward. And it's a twin stick shooter, so you're controlling your ship. And then over here, you can kind of angle. You can't do a full, but you can kind of do a little pitch to the, like a 20-degree pitch to the left or the right, which is kind of nice so you can sway and stuff. And then if you do L2, it changes your shot to a below shot.
Yep.
So this is a twin stick shmup that is kind of 3-dimensional. And then there's enemies on a different plane. So you're in the air and you're fighting air people, but then there's people on the ground. And in order to hit those, you got to use L2 to shoot this laser down and destroy those. But you can't shoot them at the same time. And they're coming at it. So that's what makes it really, it's really tough. It's really wild. There are some scenes that are so gorgeous because like bosses in particular will come from the ground to the air and you just see them coming up at you and you're like, oh my, this is going to be badass.
Yeah, and I think the one thing, you know, you said a little bit like the lack of variety in bullets and power-ups. I think the level design, it has a great amount of variety. The game did not feel stagnant from level to level to level. It felt like, oh man, this is a really cool design. I like
that's how I felt when we played through it and beat it. Is like sometimes shooters, you're like, okay, they introduce things and then every level it's the same type of stuff. You know, every level felt like it was a different design of a level. There were somewhat different enemies. There were different. Every boss felt different and unique. There was some really cool boss fights. Nothing felt like it was repetitive or used. I know it was kind of short with 7 levels. But that's kind of nice because 10-15 minutes, it's nice to pick up and play, do a level and come back, but when you go to the next level, it's like, oh wow, this is like new and fresh and stuff. And what's really cool is when you do story mode, you can pick whatever level you want and play it. Once you've beaten it. You can just go through and be like, oh, I want to play level 3. Just play level 3 and then it takes you back into the menu and you can play level 3 again or play level 1 or play level 7. So that's kind of cool. And that's a good way to like mine for shield points to fully upgrade your ship. And then arcade mode. Arcade mode is really unique because you don't pick the difficulty. You get 1 hit, 1 life, and then when you get hit, you're dead. That's it.
Well, you can take hits. You only have 1 life.
Yeah, you only have 1 life, so you can add more health, but if you die, you die.
You're done.
And then your upgrades, you only get 9 upgrades, so you have to decide what's worthy of this run. And you basically just go through the story and try and see how far you can get it. It's tough. Good luck. But it's really fun because I think once you beat it, if you get through the all 7, it just loops and it keeps going and it keeps going. So that's kind of fun, kind of cool.
Kind of retro-esque,
And then also there's, I already mentioned couch co-op, and then there is online leaderboards for the arcade mode, so you can kind of compete with friends and all that stuff. This game is really cool, and in the story mode, there is a really cool cinematic story because this Keelworks, this VFX animation company, you know, made this story. So there's really cool animation, really cool cinematics. I don't really care about story in my shooters, but if you do, this has a decent story and it's really fun. It's cool. And what's really nice is
they're skippable.
They're skippable. So you can watch it and be like, oh, cool, or you can go, fuck this, and skip it.
Yeah.
So that I do like when games offer that even on your first playthrough. You go, I don't care. Let's go. So that it kind of caters to both audiences,
All right. Let's rate this bad boy. We're going to use the scale 1 to 5. We're going to do the old Game Pro style rating system.
Yes.
Graphics. What do you think?
Oh, man. So this is a modern video game for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. It's a shooter. This game is beautiful. The colors are really cool. The depth between the ground and the air is really awesome. I'm not a big graphics guy. Like, graphics don't bother me, but I think the graphics look really cool. Yeah, they look beautiful. I think for graphics, 4.
I can agree with that. The sound, it has like an orchestral score for it.
The soundtrack, it's really cool, but it's not anything crazy.
Yeah.
But it's very orchestral, and it does kind of fit. And then, like, there's not much other sound. Like, there's sound effects of, like, explosions and stuff. It's not crazy sound.
Yeah, it's not mind-blowing in any way. It's not hurting the game. I don't necessarily think it's helping the game. I think like a 3.5.
3.5. Like, the dialogue and everything in the cutscenes is done well, and there's music and, like, all that stuff. But, yeah, 3.5. It's middle of the road. But also that doesn't distract me from having fun either.
Yeah,
so it's just middle of the road sound.
Another big factor in shooters is control.
Oh, yes.
So the control of this game does feel very fluid. When you go into the options, there is some sensitivity adjustments you can make if you think it's too snappy. I will say when we first started playing, I did feel like it was a little too reactive.
Yeah, too fast.
But I got used to it, and I actually don't want to drop that down at all.
Now I'm used to the speed.
But I think it controls the way you would want it to control. I love the fact that with the right stick, you can change the pitch, which you had already mentioned. I think for a shooter, it controls really good. When I got hit, it was my fault. I don't feel like the controls were the problem.
The only thing, and it's not even a control issue, is just that this game has a learning curve with the controls.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to do the shields and the shield points and the missiles and all that stuff. Figuring out how to do the twin stick shooter. It took me a few hours to even realize you could do the pitch.
Yeah.
They don't teach you that in the tutorial. But that's not the controls' fault. The game just didn't tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
But everything else works fine. I think controls 4.5. It's tight. It's exactly what you want. It's great for a shooter.
Yeah, I would agree. Then the last thing, the most important thing is what is the fun factor of this game? I had a blast with it. Overall, I think the game is a ton of fun. Yes, I could nitpick it. Is this the greatest shooter I've ever played? No, it's not. Is it a refreshing shooter? Yes, it is.
Yes.
There are some things that they did in this game that I thought was really cool to see. I think it is a breath of fresh air. There's not a lot of shooters, spaceship shooters on the modern scene. So when we get one, even if it's decent, you got to be pretty happy about it. And I think this is better than decent. I think it's a great effort for their first game. I think it's a ton of fun. I do want to knock the fun factor though, because I think the tutorial or lack of it just throwing you in. Yeah. If you haven't played a ton of shooters, I think that could be a drawback.
Yeah, so I love shmups, and we both love shmups. We played a ton of shmups, but even it took us a while to figure it out because of the learning curve, and I've already talked about that a ton. The learning curve is tough. It takes some time, but I will say spend the time with this game because this game is amazing. So the fun factor, once you figure out, switching this, do the twin stick, all this stuff, then it's like, I'm having a blast, crank the stereo. And what's really cool about this game too, and it's a co-op game, but we played it single player mode because we like doing that. This game is fun to watch.
Yeah, it is.
This game, because it's so gorgeous, it's so, it's bullet hell. It's fun to play and it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
So fun factor, I think 4 for fun factor.
Yeah.
Just because you got to get through the learning curve aspect, figure out the game, and then just have a blast with this. Replayability is super high because of the shield points, unlocking it, upgrade your ships, plus there's easy, medium, and hard, plus the arcade mode, and all that for $30. I think that's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit of negativity around this game. I don't understand it. I think the game is a ton of fun. Again, not perfect, but a ton of fun. 4 for graphics, 3.5 for sound, 4.5 for controls, 4 for fun factor. I'm blown away that it's the first game they've ever made.
Yeah, it's insane, and I'm glad that Konami is back. They're releasing shmups. It's so nice. So now, Konami, where's Gradius 6?
Yes.
Come on.
I just hope they can get back at it. We got a new Contra this year. We got this game this year. The back end of the year has, Silent Hill 2 Remake, Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake. I think Konami may be getting the train back on the tracks, which is great for all gamers. if you want to hear more about that, there's a video that came out before this one, but today is all about Cygni All Guns Blazing. For the price point, I think it's a must play. There's not a lot out there on the newer consoles that's worth playing, and this is a fun one.
And I feel like this is a game that the only reason we're doing this review too is because I haven't heard anybody talk about this.
Yeah.
This game came out about 2 weeks ago, August 6th, 2024. I didn't even hear an announcement. I heard nobody talk about it. You sent me a link and I was like, what the heck?
Yeah,
and then it was just, you can get it on Amazon physically. That's super nice. So it's just like, let's talk about this game. Let's support this game. Let's show Keelworks that what they're doing is amazing. Let's show Konami that like, oh, you guys are back. Let's support this. Let's see what they can do moving forward, because this is a great step in the right direction.
Yeah, I totally agree. We appreciate you tuning in, subscribing to the channel. If you've heard of this game or want to play this game, or if you've played this game, drop a comment in the comment section below, and let's hope Konami keeps riding this freaking speeding train.
And real quick, if you're a PC gamer, I don't know if it's still active, but this game was free on the Epic Store.
Okay.
And it just came out, so you could try it for free if you're a PC gamer.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
That is a good way to end the video. We'll catch you on the next episode of the one and only Gaming Off the Grid.